Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about JLo. I have had a little bit of trepidation talking about this because in one way we can all laugh about the sad Affleck memes. We can all laugh at funny TikToks made at the expense of JLo and some of her mannerisms and how she acts. All of that. There is a comedic level to all of that, certainly. However, there's also the part of me that's like, damn, is Ben Affleck actually okay though? Not even from the standpoint of I'm a huge fan and so I'm worried about him, blah, blah, blah. Because at the end of the day, I think it'd be really fake to be like, oh, I'm so concerned about him. Like, I don't know this man. I hope he's well. But beyond that, all I can wonder is, what is going on behind these memes? Because it actually does look like he's not okay. And if that's the case, I hope that people around him aren't taking the memes as an opportunity to laugh and are actually checking in, because that man is like half of my memes now. Like my memes that I send people when I'm distressed or particularly depressed or frustrated, they're not happy memes. So I can't imagine he's doing that well. So I hope he's doing well. Now, for the purpose of this video, I do want to address that duality is there. So when I talk about the serious, I'm not going to pretend the comedic isn't there and vice versa. So there are multiple things I want to talk about with JLo. Now, the obvious ones and the ones that have been the most prevalent on my timelines, I think because of the type of people I follow, are JLo Impressions, which honestly I think are so funny because I do think that in a lot of ways she showed a particular attitude, right? That some have labeled as delusional, but this kind of grandiose attitude about herself and her fame that we've seen get shot down, right? Like there was a time when she went back to the block where Jenny is from and people didn't know her there.
I just love it when I come back to the Bronx. The smell, the people. Mi gente latina, this is where I'm from. Right here, the bodega's just down the street where I used to order. Oh, look, it's my old house. This is where I grew up.
Who are you?
I'm Jennifer.
Jennifer who?
Jennifer Lopez from the Bronx.
The
I
Bronx?
lived here. I
This
grew
is
up
not the
right
Bronx.
here.
You don't belong in the Bronx.
Lady, can I just go see?
Oh
Oh
my
my
God. You belong over there.
Benny! Benny!
So there are a lot of these moments that honestly are funny, but again, there is the serious side of like, oh, what does that do to your psyche when you think a type of way of yourself and then reality might not exactly align with that vision. And that's not to belittle any of JLo's success, because back in the day, JLo was a big name, and she still is to an extent, but not like she was in the 2000s, right? So there are these funny memes, there are these funny impressions, and there's some creators that I think are really good at it, because as much as they do poke fun at her, it's not in a mean-spirited way, like actually poking at who she is as a person, as much as some of her mannerisms and some of the things she consistently says. So that's been funny. The same way that the Ben Affleck memes have been funny of sad Affleck, or like I think that video that we all saw of him closing the door when JLo gets in a car and you can just see the fucking passive aggressiveness and how he closes the door and you're like, I have been there to an extent. But again, you also are like, okay, we're only seeing a tiny bit. So anyway, I read about like 25 articles about all of this because the thing with JLo and Ben Affleck is, first of all, I don't want to delve into their relationship. I don't think any of us really need to know what's going on. And realistically, based on what's out there, we wouldn't know anyway because there's a lack of consistency. There's Ben Affleck going out without a ring. There's JLo saying they're stronger than ever. There's posting a happy Father's Day. But then he's out and again, there's no, you know, like, we're never gonna know, and frankly, I don't care to know. This is where I don't know if I have missed something, but there's this one article that'll be linked down below that says Ben Affleck opens up about living with Jennifer Lopez's intense fame, addresses having resting bitch face. Resting bitch face, me too. But anyway, when I saw this and when I read this article, I was confused because, first of all, I never considered the quote-unquote power dynamic between Ben Affleck and JLo because this is gonna sound really cold, but oh well. For me, JLo was very much an icon of the 2000s. So that's not to say she's a has-been, but when I think of current modern day celebrities, famous people, JLo is not necessarily at the top of that list. Maybe she also hits various demographics that he doesn't hit. Anyway. Ben Affleck, however, I don't know what he's been in recently. I'm not that type of fan, but his level of fame to me seems more dominant than hers. So when he talks about living with her intense fame, I had to wonder, is the fame also because of the memes? Like, are we talking about meme fame above everything? Because I don't know how many people are running up to her in the street unless they're my age-ish, being like, hey, can I have an autograph? Or, hey, I remember when you did this one thing in 2002. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean. I'm already internalizing her. That's one of the things she does. Anyway.
Hello, everybody. And I'm just sitting here in my robe. You know what I mean?
So Ben Affleck sat down with Kevin Hart in a new episode of the comedian's Peacock chat show, Heart to Heart. He said, she's so famous and people love her and she really represents something important to people, Affleck told Hart. With me, people are like, hey, I like your movie, but then they're like, ah, JLo, he exclaimed. It's amazing. To be clear also, nothing I said is to deny that JLo is a household name like Shakira is, or like any of those icons specifically that thrived in that era, just to be clear. But we're talking about here now, like 20 some years later. So one interesting thing that Ben Affleck spoke about that I think could account for, you know, the sad Affleck memes or him always looking pissed off by paparazzi is that he said that he basically signed up for this life and his kids didn't. And he's really introspective about that. Like, it seems like that is very much on his mind. And obviously I'm an outsider. I don't know shit. I'm just telling you my meager analysis based on what I've read. Every day I'm alive, I want to make sure I'm doing right by them, the kids, making their lives better, Affleck shared of his kids, admitting that he will sometimes see that they've gone through some bullshit in their personal lives because of something to do with their father's position in the public spotlight. Breaks my heart when I'm like, this shit would never happen if I wasn't in this life, Affleck admitted. And it's hard. I really fucking second guess it a lot. But I also know this life is better for them than the one I had, he added. I talk with Jennifer about that a lot as we look at what's the difference between our kids' lives. While I think that Ben Affleck can have all his personal reasons to hate the paparazzi, understandably so, to be honest, I wonder how much of it also has to do with the quality of life that his kids have and what his kids have to deal with, and maybe why he's automatically kind of geared to not have any type of positive outlook with the paparazzi because of what his kids may have gone through / may continue to go through. So he talks about how he basically has resting bitch face, but he doesn't want to call it that, right? So the comedian then told the actor that there is a possible cause to his resting bitch face, to which Ben humorously replied with, bitch, now, I have resting hard face. When it comes to public scrutiny of his facial expressions, the Good Will Hunting star added, people are projecting something onto me that I do not feel about myself at all. And I think that that's really important to include because, like I said, there's so many sad Affleck memes out there, so I think that's important to put out there. I also do think that we need to factor in his annoyance with the paparazzi, so I hope nothing's seriously wrong, but I do think that that was an intense thing to say, like, hey, maybe you're the one who's fucking depressed, basically, when we repost his sad Affleck memes, which in my case is true. But anyway, so another lighthearted aspect of all of this, or like the tomfoolery aspect that is less serious in my opinion, was when JLo talked about her famous order at the bodega. Okay.
And what was your go-to order at the bodega?
My go-to order at the bodega was ham and cheese on a roll with an orange drink, if you know, you know, and a small bag of chips.
The point was, a lot of people had an issue with this order because part of the JLo narrative at the moment, and when I say JLo narrative, it's the image she's putting out there of herself, okay? Or that they're making her put out there of herself, who knows? Part of that image is she's so New York, she's so the Bronx, she's so Jenny from the block, so it's cementing her identity in, this is who I am. So the issue is this kind of separation between what she says she is or what she claims she is versus what then we actually see is, like her order and her mention of the orange drink, if you know, you know. Many on Twitter did not, in fact, know what the orange drink is. A lot of people feel like she's trying to fit in to a place that she no longer fits into. So there's no, at least on my end, there's no discussion that she grew up where she grew up, she had the life she said she had. I have no reason to really doubt that, and it's not like I can fact check her experience. But people now are like, you're not that person anymore. You don't go to the bodega anymore. You don't do these things. So I think the issue a lot of people had was that it felt forced and fake, and then you have this order that sounds fake and forced, and so they're like, why, like, what are you doing?
Bronx and the hood are tired. I want to start a GoFundMe just to collectively represent the Bronx against JLo at this point. When I say JLo is a delusional chaos demon, this is what I mean. First of all, you're not relatable. You are worth $400 million. You have lived in Los Angeles for 30 years. Why are you trying so hard to be from the block, the proverbial block? Which block is it? At this point, the block needs to send her a cease and desist order. So she's doubling down on trying to be from New York and trying to be relatable. You're worth $400 million. Just be rich. Be rich. Be JLo from New York. But don't remind us you're from New York, because you're not the girl from New York. You're not the girl who was on the block. You're not hood. You were not running up and down the block. Bodega, you're not getting a bag of chips. Which bag of chips, JLo? Which bag of chips? Is it the Utz chips? Is it the hot cheese popcorn? What bag of chips are you getting? Secondly, who's not getting a bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup, or a chopped cheese? If you're daring a Jamaican beef patty, even though those are gross, please stop. The problem with her is she doesn't realize you can be rich, you can make it out the hood. The hood is not glamorous, especially when you are Jennifer Lopez. Okay? Just be rich, be in Beverly Hills, leave us alone, and just be you. God damn it.
So that was a hee hee ha ha moment, because honestly, what kind of sandwich you fucking order? Like, who gives a shit? Really. In slightly more serious news, there's the canceling of JLo's shows. Now, I wasn't even aware that shows were happening. Then again, I don't really have my finger on the pulse with a lot of shows, so that's not surprising. However, a lot of her shows were canceled. Now, the thing is, it seems like there's a lack of transparency in a sense about the cancellation of these shows, because she posted saying, "I'm completely heartsick and devastated about letting you down. Please know that I wouldn't do this if I didn't feel that it was absolutely necessary. I promise I will make it up to you and we will all be together again. I love you so much. Until next time." So then the representatives for the tour, Live Nation, actually stated that the show was canceled, saying that Jennifer was taking time off to be with her children, family, and close friends. There's debate on all of this, and honestly, with all the rumors going around about her and Ben breaking up, it's so incredibly possible that this is actually the reason that she does want to spend time with family. It's entirely possible that it's true that she just wants to spend time with family, of course. But as always, when there are shows that get canceled, or when we see that the ticket sales aren't as high as expected, you wonder, is this why it was canceled? And there were a lot of people who went, not necessarily into conspiracy theory, but there were a lot of screenshots on Twitter that I didn't bother to screenshot because I didn't fact check them, so if the screenshots are to be believed, and based on what a lot of these articles say, the sales for her tour were not great. So people were wondering if the cancellation of the tour was actually due to sales, and then using the being with family thing as an excuse, because it's an easy excuse because you can't really fact check that now, can you? That being said, I found another article, and the article discussed JLo and a couple of other musicians, and the fact that this difficulty of selling tickets is a difficulty that is actually widespread. Now, you wouldn't think that based on Taylor Swift or Beyonce, duh, but with a lot of other significant musicians, I'd say more significant in terms of relevancy at this given moment in time compared to JLo, are still having a hard time selling tickets because of how expensive tickets are too. So I don't know how specific all of this is to JLo, the not selling. It could also be, you know, the economy. I'm assuming it's everything put together. And there's also the question of a lot of musicians overestimating the type of audience they have in terms of how many people. So just booking venues that are basically too big, which I could see that being a problem with JLo. But anyway, so last of all, I wanted to mention the situation with the rings, because that's come up a lot. And like I said, I don't really care to speculate about their relationship, whether they're together, they're not together. The thing is, I think that the speculation about that is making everything collectively worse, because JLo is definitely not necessarily having a successful year in terms of ticket sales of what was supposed to be her show. In terms of, I think, even PR, like there are memes out there, but memes aren't usually what builds the career that actors / musicians want necessarily. There are a lot of things that I don't think are necessarily going well with JLo, and I think that the speculation on top of everything probably makes things 10 times worse. And also, the thing is that everything is tracked. So the speculation isn't just, oh, maybe they're broken up. It's like anytime he's not wearing a ring, there's something to be said. Anytime she is wearing her ring, they need to point it out. And I don't find that helpful at all. And there was a part that was saying that she was selling her $60 million mansion, and I think that was mentioned in one of the skits too. And there also is hearsay about him, you know, living in some other house and not with her. I don't know about any of that, but I can only imagine that that worsens everything right now. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.